Tingnan natin kung ano nangyari dito. No? Nagkabagsakan niya, tatlong bumagsak eh. As Roger went up for that shot.
Euguene. And could have hit his face.
Hindi natin, ewan ko kung yung ulo niya o
Baka yung jaw.
Am I on here?
Eugene, you're on.
We on this time? Sorry for the technical difficulties last time. We were trying to get on.
That's right. Hey, it's okay. Hey, you know what? The good thing about all this is that you can always try again and let the viewers know that we got the interview going on today. So I'm hoping that people are joining today and here to listen to your story. So
sure,
let's get started, man.
Yeah.
First of all, thanks for jumping on. You know, if I can recall for everybody out there, Eugene and I, we actually played for a team up in the Bay Area while I was playing college basketball at Cal Maritime with folks like himself and Harvey Carey, Saul Mercado, a great group of Bay Area PBA guys. But today it's about you today.
Rob J?
What was that?
Were you there with us when Rob J was on the team? Because he was another
Yep, I was there.
PBA dude, yeah.
Yep. Who else was a part of that group? So you got yourself, Saul Mercado, who was Rob,
Sonny.
Gotta throw Sonny in there.
I see Carlo on here. Carlo, what's up? He was on freestyle.
There you go. Yep, that's right.
No, that was a great time. I loved the Fil-am tournaments growing up back then. That's where I try to test my skills with the older guys, because a young kid trying to play with these older guys, that's my first opportunity to play with older guys.
Exactly.
The Fil-am Nation or Fil-am leagues.
Yep. I mean, honestly, it was a great experience just being able to see some great talent, especially in the Bay Area. Obviously, being from Los Angeles, obviously we had some great talent: Jimmy Alapag, Mark Igiwa, my cousin Alex Gabagnut.
Yeah.
I mean, just to name a few. I mean, there's definitely a lot of talent, especially in California itself. I mean, I think we have the hotbed for the most Fil-am talent here in California.
Yeah, Pac Rim and San Diego gave us a run.
Yeah,
they were tough to beat us, especially when Jimmy was on. And then I remember when Alex was coming, he was a young 17-year-old getting buckets.
Easy buckets.
Man. But I mean, I wasn't too much older. I was just a year older. But what he was doing to some of them cats that went to the Philippines and came back and started playing Fil-am leagues, he was doing work for sure.
Yeah. Well, you know, the great thing about this book is that it got pictures. You know, it's always a good thing when you have pictures in the book, right?
This crazy thing is that they caught my first PBA basket and my last. At my last basket, a minute later, the accident happened. But we can get into it. I know you had some questions you wanted to start off with. Let's go ahead and go through that.
Well, let's definitely let everybody out there, especially all the Filipino community, know who you are, where you're from, where pretty much you grew up. Let's talk about, you know, when basketball started for you and who basically was a big role model to your career.
Basketball started for me really young. A lot of people don't know, but you will find out in the book. My dad actually played for the Philippine national team and was part of Mika days right before the PBA started in the 60s. He played for San Miguel, which your cousin Alex is on right now. So I would say he was a big influence. Not to say like I wanted to be like him, but I think he pushed his dreams onto me, and which became my dreams. So I guess in a way he was an influence that got me started. But someone that I really looked up to playing wise was obviously my favorite Golden State Warrior ever is Chris Mullin and Scottie Pippen. Those were my two favorite players of all time. Hence, I wear the number 33 because I felt like I played like Scottie Pippen, had like all the tools that, you know, a player should have. I could rebound, guard, shoot, defend, and bring the ball up. So I think I had all. I didn't have like one significant skill. I think I did everything pretty well.
Now, could you let everybody know where, what city you grew up, what high school you went to, prior to the PBA, and which we'll talk about in a few minutes, what did you go to college out in California, or did you go out of state? What was that lifestyle, that life for you?
I grew up in Hayward, California, in the Bay Area, about 15 minutes east of Oakland. I played my high school ball at James Logan up in Union City. A couple NBA guys that came out of there. One before me was Eddie House.
Yeah.
Who played with the Celtics. I think I heard Nate Robinson went for a couple of years at Logan. I think those are the two guys that came out of my high school. And I played for junior college in Chabot College in Hayward. And then I went out to Holy Names. And crazy story I want to tell everyone is like, go to school.
Yeah.
All I did was play basketball. I had D1 offers, D2 offers. But once they saw my transcripts, those scholarships went away. But one thing I wish I could take back was actually take school seriously. And I talk a lot about it in my book that I had this learning disabilities, which was not like a thing back in the day. We didn't really understand ADHD and dyslexia, which I grew up with. So it was tough for me to deal with school. So I think that's why I focused everything in basketball, because that's what I was good at. So for every kid out there, make sure you go to school and get your grades, because you'll lose opportunities. And I'm sure you've heard it before, go to school, but I'm a testament that it happened. Like I lost scholarships. I lost opportunities to play in different states and different universities just because I didn't go to school or get good grades.
Got it. Eugene, I know you mentioned, you going to Chabot College, which is a junior college. What was that transition like for you as you started learning more about Philippine basketball? And how did you end up transitioning into that environment, getting to know what Philippine basketball is, which obviously is the PBA? Who did somebody recruit you? Was there somebody that actually helped you out? Who was all part of that?
How did I get transition? Like I said, my dad was in the PBA at the time, what they called it in the Philippines. So there was not a transition. That was always a dream of mine to play in the PBA.
Right.
You know how tough it is to make it to the NBA, but Philippines was always like, I need to go. And as early as sophomore year in high school, I was getting recruited by the two major universities out in Manila, Ateneo and La Salle. Manny Ramos, who came out of my high school, actually went to La Salle and he played in the PBA. We went to the same high school. Rob Duat, sorry.
Rob Duat, yeah.
Yeah. I can't forget him. He was a big mentor for me when I first got out there. But no, there was no transition. I always knew about the Philippines. I've always wanted to play. I had opportunities to go early, but just me being not a great student, not a great kid growing up, getting into trouble. My parents didn't allow me. See, losing the opportunity right there again, but just not living the right way as a teen.
Right.
Not taking school seriously, trying to get into trouble, trying to get into too many different things outside of basketball and school that prevented me from my parents' eyes to go out there. So yeah, there was no transition. And then just obviously knowing, getting into the Fil-am basketball was just, I don't know how I just remember someone asked me to play. And I said, okay. And it was a Filipino league. And like I said, they were much older. I didn't really play a lot, but obviously once I got older, I felt like I was dominating. I was doing pretty well in those leagues. So that kind of made me think about like maybe the PBA could be a possibility. And how it all started was Bobby Rios. He was one of the first agents to bring out all the Fil-ams. And I went to college actually with his son, Robbie Rios, who became my agent. And he's the one that got me out there with his dad's connects and landed me in the PBA.
Now, prior to getting to the PBA, did you take numerous trips to the Philippines? Did you already know the culture? Did you have an idea what you were getting yourself into?
I knew the culture a little bit because I flew back and forth, not for basketball, just with my family.
Yeah.
So I kind of had an understanding of what the Philippines was or is. But it's different when you go out alone. It's definitely a culture shock. You see a lot of poverty. You see a lot of corruption. I mean, I don't know if we want to get into all that, but you just see a lot of different things that you weren't exposed to at a young age. And
of course,
I had to see it firsthand. And yeah, but I had a great group of guys around me when I first got out there. Was Jimmy Alapog and Harvey Carey. We became a family out there. It was we were all trying to live a dream, and we leaned on each other to help us navigate through the PBA or the Philippines. So yeah.
Now, what
was the second part of that question again?
What was that?
What was the second part of that question?
You know, just the whole transition of stepping into the country. Number one, let's share to the viewers which team you played for. But one of the things I forgot to ask you was how tall are you, right? And the second question is both parents Filipino? Are you considered both Filipino?
I am 6'5", and I'm pure Filipino. I mean, there's no pure Filipino, but I am pure, I think. Pretty much pure. I know my grandfather's Spanish, but he was born and raised in the Philippines, so I think everybody has a little bit of Spanish in them. Yeah. So
what was that mindset like once you stepped into the country? Obviously, you knew what you were getting yourself into. What was that first day of practice looking like for you as you got into that league?
Oh yeah, I remember the first question. Now, how long was I there? Was I going back and forth? No, I went to the PBA to go there, and I never went before, just to try out. And it was only 6 days before the draft, or a week before the draft. So I was thrown into it. You know, we got off the plane. You're playing in hot gyms. There's no AC. It's muggy. You can smell the pollution with the cars and the jeepneys driving by, and the heat was so tough on me. I had a hard time performing when I first got out there because I never acclimated to the weather. I just thrown in there to try out for different teams, and then obviously this was the first year they had a combine, and they did it right outside of Mega Mall, right in the middle of everybody on cement, and I was like, wow. This is a professional league. They got us playing out here in the heat in front of, like, if some people know, EDSA traffic is the main highway in Manila.
That's right.
And we were playing right next to it, and you can smell the smog, and you're inhaling all that smog, and it was tough. It was tough. So just be prepared. I mean, I think now today's PBA, you have to be there for a little bit, so you can definitely acclimate and get accustomed to the weather and be able to perform and adjust. But for me, it was tough. I went out there, did my best. Luckily, I did good enough. I got drafted by Alaska Aces in the second round. No one knew who I was. Everyone knew about me, but no one really knew who I was just from my past. Like I said, they were trying to recruit me at such a young age.
Now, prior to your injury, and we'll go into the whole injury aspect of your experience, how many games did you play prior to that injury? What was that career like? Did you already play a full year? Did you play a season already? What was that experience?
I got hurt almost going into my fourth year. So I was in the Philippines for a while. I got on Alaska and never really got much playing time. I had a lot of veterans in front of me, like Rob Duwatch, I mentioned, we was in high school together. Don Camaso, Don Oliado, Ali Peak. These guys are big names. So I never really got seen. And then I got traded after my 2 years with Alaska. I went to San Miguel, got traded. And then I had two huge superstars in front of me, Danny Siegel and then Danny Alfonso, Dante Ontiveros. Those are all pretty much legends in the PBA. Yes. And then I got traded. They asked if I wanted to stay with San Miguel. Obviously, I knew I wasn't going to get no playing time. I already sat on the bench for almost 3 years. I just wanted my shot. And I went to a really young team called Purefoods, which is probably one of the top organizations in the Philippines to play for. And I linked up with Mark Pingris, Kirby Raimundo, James Yap, Paul Artadi. And I finally got my opportunity. I broke the starting lineup. I was playing really well, like about to get like all these endorsements and get paid. But unfortunately, the accident happened right in the cusp of me making it and making a name for myself out there.
Yeah. Now, could you walk us through in terms of that particular game? I know, if you're okay with sharing.
No, it's fine.
What quarter it was? What was that mind going into that game? what was your expectations in terms of, scoring and bringing, things to the table for your team? Right before that all happened, what was going through your mind?
It was a pretty big game. If we would have won that particular game, we would have had a outright berth to the semifinals, so we wouldn't have to play the quarterfinals, and that's big. You have to skip series if we would have won that game. I was coming off an ankle injury, so I didn't play the three previous games, but we were getting blown up by Red Bulls. The fourth quarter, and Coach Ryan Gregorio, Purefoods coach at the time, asked me, "Do you want to play? I know your ankle's still bothering." I said, "You know what? Let me play just to get the kinks out. I haven't played in a few games. Let me try to get my rhythm back." And then I went in, was playing pretty well, scored a couple baskets, and then after my last basket, this horrific injury happened to me. I went up for the rebound. My teammate Roger Yap was going up for a rebound. He got fouled. I got the rebound, and as I was falling after getting the rebound, something happened where someone clipped my leg. I fell on the floor, and as I was falling, Mick Pennisi, who's 6'9" behemoth from Australia, fell on me and landed on my neck, which broke my C5, C6, and made me paralyzed from the neck down. Couldn't move a thing. Everything felt like I use this a lot, like your body crashed, your computer crashed, like went haywire, or you had a short and like electricity went everywhere, and that's what it felt like a big shock. That shock that went through my body, that it felt like my hands were by my feet and my feet were by my ears. It's just like my whole system went haywire and just turned off like a light switch and couldn't move a thing.
Yeah, and while you were going through that, injury, what was just going through your mind? I know I saw the video last night. I actually just kept running it, just trying to see how everything kind of played out. And I can see it in your face that there was so much pain. Walk us through, and just in terms of the mental aspect of, you just shutting down, or what were you doing? Were you praying? Were you asking yourself, what's going to happen next? Or did you just feel like, you just couldn't move, What was that? What was going through your mind during that moment?
Surprisingly enough, I was actually reading a book called by Christopher Reeves, who played Superman in the 80s. And he was basically decapitated by his horse. He broke his neck as well. Yeah. Just being a fan of Superman, I was just reading this book, so I understand what a spinal cord injury. And when you asked, when you saw the video, I had tears running my face. The tears were running down my face because I knew my career was over. There was no pain. It was just a lot of fear of the unknown. When you break your neck, it's not just your legs and arms don't work. My lungs collapsed too. So I basically could have suffocated if it was just a centimeter higher, and I probably would have died on the floor. There's a lot of negligence there with the PBA. They didn't have an ambulance there that day. For some reason. I was on the floor for about 45 minutes to an hour, and with a spinal cord injury, if it had happened anywhere else, I think anywhere else, I would have been helicoptered somewhere, which probably I would have got more return as far as movement and mobility. But yeah, there was no fear. There was no pain. I mean, just a lot of fear of the unknown, and knowing that everything I worked for and my identity in basketball was going to be stripped away.